Hello, this is my fourth and final recording in this free series, Animal and Nature Communication. Animal and Nature. In this one, I'm going to tell you how I actually did my first reading with an animal, which was a little Jack Russell Terrier. But first I want to tell you how it all came about. So I would go along to the spiritualist church, and the medium once or twice would say they got a dog. They'd go to someone in the audience and they say, I've got a dog or a cat or a bird or a horse, something like that. And they might even say the animal's name, but that would be all that they would say. And I often used to think that perhaps the animal wanted to say more, or perhaps the person wanted to know more than, I've got an animal here, I've got a dog here, I've got a cat here. And then one day I was in the church and the medium said the name Polly. She kept saying, Polly, Polly, Polly. And I had a whippet in the spirit world called Polly, but I didn't put my hand up because the lady didn't say it was a dog. So there are many people called Polly. In fact, I did know someone who also had a dog and her name was Polly, but she was not in the spirit world. So after a while, the medium kept saying Polly, Polly, and so I put my hand up and she actually sort of shouted at me, why didn't you put your hand up earlier? And I said, well, you didn't say it was a dog. And then she just said that she'd got a dog there. From what I can remember, I don't think she gave a message. And this got me to thinking that perhaps animals do want to say more, and perhaps people do want to know more about their animal in the spirit world. Did it pass away at the right time? Was it put to sleep at the right time? And I've had many people ask me that, did my dog or cat or animal mind being put to sleep at that time? Was it the right time? So many people get distressed about that. And so I got to thinking, and when you think, the universe hears, the universe listens, and the universe responds. And so this is what led up to me giving readings. But having said that, when I was possibly about 20, I had quite a few whippets, and one of them died or was put to sleep, and about 2 weeks later, she was a very tall bitch, and when she was in the back garden and wanted to come in, she would rattle the back door. And I remember being at home and hearing the back door rattle just like it was her. And I thought, I knew it was her, even though at that time I wasn't calling myself psychic. I hadn't actually put a label to myself, called myself psychic. I just knew it was her saying that she was fine. And then sometime after that, I had another dog put to sleep, and when she wanted to come in the back door, she would scratch it. And again, this happened. And I thought, right, this is what happens about 2 weeks after an animal has died. It comes back to tell you that it's fine, and this is what it's all about. Now, another thing that I want to tell you here is that about 2 years ago, I had my dog put to sleep. She was quite elderly. And let's go to another lady, right? So I gave a reading to a lady about her dog, and I said it had gone to meet its friends, Fido, whatever, Billy, Patsy and Fido. And she said, oh, no, it hasn't. She said it didn't get on with them at all. So it wouldn't have done. But having said that, what I said in the other video about this lady in America whose dog, its favourite toy was a yellow ball with a smiley face on it, and the dog was not interested in operations and helicopters. Well, likewise, this lady's dog in the spirit world was quite friendly with the dogs it didn't like once it was in the spirit world. But the lady couldn't understand that. She was adamant, no, that's not my dog. He hated those other dogs and he wouldn't mix with them now that he's in the spirit world. And I think I actually said he was with the lady's granddad, and she said, my granddad doesn't like dogs anyway. So things change. Animals change, people change when they go over to the spirit world. Now, my dog that passed away about 2 years ago didn't get on with other dogs. She did later on in life, and when I learnt how to manage her, how to let her say hello to other dogs. So she passed away, and about 2 days later, I heard, I was coming out of the bathroom into the bedroom, and I heard the voice of my friend Anne Knight, who bred the Don DeLeo Whippets. Now, she's been in the spirit world for some time, and I've never had a message from her before, but I distinctly heard her voice say that my dog was with the Whippets. And about 2 or 3 days later, I can't remember what I was doing at that time, but I heard the message again. My dog was with the Whippets. Now, I was surprised at that because my dog wouldn't have got on with the Whippets. Border Collies and Whippets are different sorts of dogs. Border Collies herd, Whippets charge up and down. But anyway, and another thing I want to say is about energy, and another dog that we had, he lived to about 19, and when he passed away, he was put to sleep, and my younger daughter was in the computer room with the door shut not long after his death. And as I opened the door, all this energy, it just spilled out. It was as if the room was full of water, it had filled up with water, and as you opened the door, the water spilled out. But it was energy. It was the energy of my dog spilled out. So the whole room was full of his energy, and it just spilled out. That was very, very strange. And just so amazing. I've had some absolutely amazing experiences doing readings for animals. Now, when I first started, it was just normal to me. I thought, okay, animals want to talk to their owners want to know more about their animals. And so after doing the first reading, and after going to spiritualist churches and the medium just saying, I've got a dog, I've got a cat, I thought there's more to it. The messages need to be much longer. And so I began putting adverts in magazines and newspapers. Well, then the doggy periodicals, dog show magazines, things like that. And the newspapers got hold of it because it was, ahead of its time, really, when I started doing it. And the newspapers would phone me up, and one particular day and one particular newspaper, they did a double-page spread which included me, and it included people who did things like aromatherapy, reflexology. So even that then was a bit way out. I don't know how many years we're going back, 30 years perhaps, even longer than that. And so there was this big page spread pulling aromatherapists to pieces, pulling Reiki healers to pieces, and pulling me to pieces. And they said that I was conning old ladies out of millions of pounds. Well, at that time, I actually, my house was repossessed, so I certainly did not have millions of pounds, and I don't recall doing readings for old ladies anyway. They would be young people, middle-aged people. They would not be old ladies. Anyway, that put me off. That made me doubt myself a little bit and put me off, and I stopped doing animal communication for some time, really. Anyway, that's what happens when you're in the public eye, and you haven't got to doubt yourself. Now, as I said, I'm doing the course for you. I will let you know. I will do a 5th video which will tell you when the course is up and running. It will be on my website, www.barbaraburgess.co.uk, and it will be with the company Yes Course. So I will let you know when that is up and running. But now you probably wish to know how I did my very first animal communication reading or message. And it so happened that this lady came to my house for a reading, and she sat down and I started the reading, and then I said to her, you've got a little Jack Russell sitting by your feet. He was almost glued to her leg. He had a lot of white on him, a long-legged Jack Russell, the traditional, original Jack Russell. Lots of white, bit of colour on his head, and I think he had a bit of colour on one leg. And she said, I don't like dogs, take him away. And I said, well, I don't know how to. He seems to be quite happy there. I don't know how to tell him to clear off. And so we forgot about that, and then we carried on with the reading, and the dog stayed there, and I kept saying, are you sure you don't know anything about dogs? You haven't got a dog, you haven't got a relative who likes dogs? And she said, no. She said, I do not like dogs, I don't like any animal. I've never had an animal, and I don't even like animals. And I thought, strange person, I used to think if someone didn't like animals, I didn't like that person. But in actual fact, she was a very nice lady. So she said to me, get rid of it. And I said, well, I don't know how to. How can I get rid of it? And she said, let's say a prayer. So I said, okay, what prayer shall we say then? And she said, let's say the Lord's Prayer together. And so we did. We said the Lord's Prayer together. And as we were saying the Lord's Prayer, I heard from the dog, he said that his master had died 5 years earlier, and now he was dead, and he couldn't find his master. He was in the spirit world and he couldn't find his master. So I told the lady that, and she said, okay, well, we better say a prayer as well to let the dog find its master. So that's what we did. And as we were saying the second prayer, there was this whoosh. I heard a whoosh, and the dog disappeared. And so I told the lady. So that was the very first communication I'd had from an animal. I just knew, it was almost as if I heard the dog talking to me, but at the same time, I just knew that the dog had been dead 5 years. No, the owner had been dead 5 years, and now the dog was dead. He couldn't find his owner. So there, I was going to say, when you go to the spirit world, some people have said to me, they might have been married twice, and they say, when I go to the spirit world, have I got to meet him? Or have I got to meet her? And I said, no, you don't have to meet up with someone you don't like. But having said that, the spirit world is a whole. We're all connected, as I said in one of the other videos. We're all one. But just as you're on the earth plane, if you've got a relative in Australia or America and you live in England or you live in Spain, you can phone them up. You're still connected in a way, because you can phone them up or write a letter or send an email. And it's the same in the spirit world. I'm doing a circle. I've got no idea if the spirit world is round. Most things are round. Sun, moon, stars and planet Earth, they're all round. So I'm just saying that the spirit world is round, and we are all connected. So you can go over to the spirit world and one of you be there and one of you be there, and still you are connected and communicating with each other. But at the same time, if you don't want to meet up with someone, then you don't have to. I've been asked that quite a few times. So I've just told you how I did my first animal communication reading, and that led to all the others. Now I just want to tell you about one I did for a lady called Catherine O'Driscoll, who started and now runs Canine Health Concern, and it was at a time when I did tape recordings, and she got in touch with me and asked me to do the reading for one of her dogs. And I sent the tape back, and I'm not sure if she phoned me up or if she wrote a letter, but she said, who was the man talking on the tape? And I said, I don't know anything about a man. I was the only one doing the recording, and I was the only one in the room at the time. I said, what was the man saying? And she said, the man's voice said, good luck with your new book. And I said, well, are you writing a new book? She said, yes. She said, that's why I got in touch with you for a reading. So this man's voice, right at the very beginning of the tape, said, good luck with your new book. And the tape I sent her, the message from her dog kept talking about the month of May and May buds. I'm going to get all emotional now. Oh dear. Right. May blossom, stuff like that. May blossom, May buds, the month of May. And her book was called I'm connecting to spirit, or they're connecting to me, and they make me emotional. I'll ask them to step back a little bit, please. Step back a little bit, please. Her book was called Who Killed the Darling Buds of May? And it was about her dogs. I think she'd lost about 4, very young and in a very short space of time. So there we have it, the communication with her dog in spirit was genuine. The dog told me about this book. I didn't know anything about a book. I didn't know Catherine was an author. I didn't know anything about Catherine actually at all. And also on the tape was a man's voice. Now that is absolutely amazing, isn't it? And I'll leave you with that thought, and do look out for my course, Animal and Nature Communication. It will include quite a number of things, where we come from, spirit form, all sorts of things. So not only animal communication and nature communication, but a lot of other spiritual and psychic stuff. Bye for now.